And now we get to the main event of the evening in the trilogy bout in the hometown of the champion in London, England. You have the champion at 170 pounds in Leon Rocky Edwards coming into this bout with a record of 20 victories and 3 defeats, coming off of that 5th round head kick KO cross same side head kick where he defeated the challenger in this fight now in Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, to become the new welterweight champion. And Kamaru Usman coming in trying to regain his welterweight title, coming in with a record of 20 victories with only 2 defeats. The only loss in the UFC coming at the hands of the now champion in Leon Rocky Edwards after a true Rocky moment. Man, this is a great matchup. This is a phenomenal fight. And I know a lot of people are going to go into this and say, well, it's not going to play out much different from the first or the second fight, where there's going to be some moments for Leon. Leon's probably going to put Kamaru in some danger at some points. But for the most part, it's going to be Edwards getting pressured up against the cage, getting taken down with the superior wrestling of Kamaru Usman, going to keep taking him down, pushing him against the fence, using the over-under positions, landing some shots in the clinch, and continuing to use his overwhelming wrestling and power. And when he's inside that over-under clinch against the fence, using shots to the body, using shots up top to the head, and then changing levels to go back down and continue the rinse and repeat for 25 minutes. Usman was on his way to doing that in the rematch at UFC 278. He was constantly pressuring Leon up against the cage. He was working his way back. He was pushing him back with some punches, getting Leon to guard up high, and then shooting the takedowns up against the fence, transitioning to the over-under position in the clinch, landing knees to the thigh, going back down to the body. When he broke off on the clinch, it was hooks and uppercuts to the body and then back up to the head, getting Leon to high guard and then transitioning back down to the legs to get the takedowns. If he couldn't get the takedowns, he would transition from the double legs or single legs back up to the body lock and work from either the double under clinch position, double underhook clinch position, or the over under position, and continue to work knees to the body and knees up top, and then transitioning back to the takedowns and getting Leon down to the floor and just controlling him on the mat. In the second fight, though, in the first round, Leon was actually the only man to take down Kamaru, and the first man to take down Kamaru in his MMA career by using an outside trip inside the clinch to get to the top position, end up in the mount, take the back of Usman, put the body triangle in, and almost lock in a rear naked choke at the end of the first round. That is something that Usman is going to have to be careful of, because even though Kamaru is going to be the better wrestler, he's going to be the more dominant grappler, he's going to be able to dictate the pace of the fight and dictate where the fight takes place, so long as he can continue to pressure Leon up against the cage and work in those positions, getting Leon to step behind that second black line in the octagon over to the cage. And Leon's going to have to use fakes and feints, the rear hip feint to draw out the reaction in the defense of Kamaru, and then use those fakes and feints, the lead hand frame, the rear hip feint, the lead jab feint to play with the rear hand of the orthodox fighter in Usman, to step to the outside of the lead foot, set up the left inside low kick, set up the left body kick, and then set up the left high kick like he did when he landed the knockout blow in the 5th round against Kamaru. It's going to be jab, check right hook, left body kick, jab, check right hook, lead teep kick or rear teep kick, jab, left right hook, left low kick to the inside of the lead left leg of Kamaru. And I honestly think low kicks are a big weapon for Leon in this trilogy bout because of the knee issues that we've heard from Kamaru Usman. And another thing you have to take into consideration, well, I will save that, but we'll talk about the knee issues. Kamaru has documented it on the Joe Rogan podcast, on other podcasts as well, that his knees are so shot that he can't even walk on concrete. He can't even walk on concrete. He has to walk on the grass. I don't know how he can train at the intensity that he trains, but he must not go heavy in the grappling when he trains because of the knee issues. He's probably working a lot of drilling in the clinch, cage wrestling, getting back up to your feet or holding the opponent down when they try to get back up to the feet, leg lacing, Dagestani triangle leg mount, transitioning to the Dagestani handcuff to break the posture and the base down of the opponent, and rinse and repeat, because Usman is a fantastic wrestler and he can take down just about any welterweight in the division, except for Colby Covington, even though I think he got a couple takedowns throughout their 2 fights as well. I would venture to say that this is going to be the toughest fight of Kamaru Usman's career. And I know people are going to tell me, well, why would it be the toughest fight of his career? He was dominating the fight until he got knocked out. He dominated the first fight, aside from when he almost got caught in that submission, and et cetera, et cetera. And I completely understand where you're coming from, and I know the logic and ideology behind the things that you're trying to say. But at the end of the day, let's look at a few intangibles. Number one, we're in the hometown of the champion now in Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards defending his title for the first time against a man who he knocked out cold after getting dominated for almost the entirety of the fight. You're facing a man now in his hometown. He's going to have the home field advantage. And you also have Usman coming in not only off of the first loss of his professional MMA career, or at least his first loss inside the UFC, but you also have a Kamaru Usman who's coming in after a knockout, a one-shot head kick, clean KO. Not a TKO, not a doctor stoppage, not a ref jumping in after he was covering up. A one-hitter quitter, clean left head kick to the dome, completely knocking him out. And then going into this fight, he had the hand surgery, and he almost, I believe, if I'm correct, this fight wasn't going to take place or was maybe going to get pushed back. We didn't know if Usman was going to make this fight because of the hand surgery, the recovery from the hand surgery, the broken hands. He might have broken both his hands in the last fight against Leon. I'm not really going to take the hand injuries into consideration, but what I am going to take into consideration is the fact that Usman's coming back to try to regain his belt after being knocked out cold just about, 6 months ago? Let's see. Leon Edwards. Give me a second. He knocked out Kamaru Usman. I believe it was in September. It's either August or September. Let's see. Will you load for me? Come on, come on. Sorry about the pauses because the website doesn't want to load, but we'll get there. Okay, let's go back because we're still not firing on all cylinders here. Okay, here we go. He knocked out Kamaru Usman back in August 20th. So August 20th to March 16th or March 18th. So basically August to March, right? So that's about 7 months. He got knocked out just about 7 months ago. Now take into consideration the time to heal. No training, no hard training. So give him like 2.5 months off. So now you got 7 months. You're down to 5 months. Going into a training camp, you're training for about 2.5 months hard. 2.5 months, about 12 weeks, or 2.5, 3 months hard, right? Like 12, 16 weeks, whatever it is. So now you got Kamaru coming in trying to regain his belt. You got Kamaru coming in trying to regain his belt on the home turf of the now champion in Leon Edwards. You have Kamaru Usman coming in trying to regain his belt against a Leon Edwards who knocked him out cold, and against a Leon Edwards who handed him his first knockout loss. We don't know how Kamaru is going to come back after being knocked out like that. We don't know the durability of Kamaru Usman coming in after that knockout loss. We have a lot of individuals who come back after a knockout and just aren't the same. There's some people who come back after getting knocked out like that and they're able to not have really very many chin issues and they can have a successful career. It could be either one for Kamaru. I don't necessarily think he's going to have terrible durability issues, but the knee injuries, the broken down body, now coming in off a chin that got tested and didn't pass the test. He's been rocked in other fights before, but he's never been rocked like, how he got knocked out in this fight against Edwards. I think Edwards is definitely going to be at a disadvantage with the wrestling like we talked about. Like Edwards is going to get taken down. He's going to get pushed up against the cage. It's going to be very similar to the last two fights between Kamaru and Leon. There's not going to be a ton of differences in how the fights play out. I just think Leon is going to be more prepared for the game plan of Usman. And you could say, well, how wasn't he more well prepared for the game plan of Usman if he did it in the first fight and then he fought him about 6-7 years later and he still wasn't prepared and got taken down, out-wrestled, out-grappled? Leon wasn't pulling the trigger. He wasn't pulling the trigger. He was gun-shy. He wasn't able to open up. I think now that he knows he has the ability to knock Kamaru out, it can be a double-edged sword because Leon can come in and start opening up, put his combinations on Kamaru, start landing the left inside low kicks, the left kicks to the body, the left head kicks, the cross into the head kicks, And if he starts opening up on Kamaru early and often, with making sure to not throw too many kicks so that Kamaru doesn't time it and work for the takedowns like he did against Jorge Masvidal in their first fight on Fight Island at UFC 251, then I think Leon can be very successful, and I think he can knock Kamaru out again. If Leon is going to be gun shy again and continue to look for that one shot, he'll be beaten. If he looks for one shot again, Kamaru will beat him by decision or potentially knock him out. So Leon cannot be overconfident just because he knows he has the ability to knock out Kamaru. But Leon's never been a guy who's going to fight with overconfidence. He's going to fight to the best of his ability and try to maximize his opportunities and minimize his deficiencies. That's how Leon fights. He's very smart. He's very tactical. He's very technical. He's never been the most popular because he doesn't have a lot of finishes. He wins a lot by decision. He's very technical in the way he approaches the game. The outside foot battle, the left kicks to the body, the left head kicks, the elbows off the break in the clinch, like, he landed against Gunnar Nelson and did a very solid job. Landing the takedowns, the inside and outside trips, the backside trips against Nate Diaz. Those are going to work well for him, and they'll work well in this fight again because we saw them work for him against Kamaru in the second fight where he didn't expect the takedown and he was able to get the outside or inside trips. Now Kamaru knows that he can get taken down if he overcommits or throws a lazy knee or is off balance. He knows that now, so it's going to be a lot harder for Leon to take down Kamaru, but I still think Leon can work off the break in the clinch. I talked about it going into the last fight. I think Leon can land elbows off the break in the clinch like he did against Gunnar Nelson. And we saw him land a few elbows against Kamaru in the last fight. None of them did serious damage, but he landed some good elbows up against the cage and breaking off in the clinch against Kamaru. I think he should go back to that. I think he should heavily attack with the lead hand feints and then the left inside low kick. Going up against an orthodox fighter, you're going to attack the inside low kick when you're a southpaw, and the left kick to the body is going to be attacking the liver against the orthodox fighter. So I think instead of using the fakes and feints to set up the high kick this time, I think he's going to use the inside low kicks against the orthodox fighter in Kamaru. I think he's going to attack the body against Kamaru with the left body kick, and then using that, starting early, and then pairing that with the rear hip feint that he used multiple times in the last fight against Kamaru, even using it and then feinting and throwing the left head kick, but Kamaru was able to block it. The first time Leon did that feint, you saw Kamaru kind of slip with his head on the outside of his hand and block it. So early on in the fight, Leon was getting tells of how Kamaru was reacting to that feint. So if Kamaru can change that much and really just change the way he reacts and not react as much and be more reactionary with the takedowns off the kick attempts of Leon, which will make him gun shy, and then it'll make the feints that Leon throws not really a threat because he knows he's not going to kick so much because of the threat of the takedowns from Usman, then I think Usman can have a very successful fight. But I think with Leon, he's going to have to attack the inside low kicks against the orthodox fighter and attack the knees because we know the knee issues that Kamaru has dealt with and publicly made known. Attack the low kicks, attack the inside, the outside low kicks. Slow down Kamaru, because if you slow him down, if you attack those legs, it's going to make the wrestling shots a little bit harder for Kamaru. But we've seen how dominant Kamaru has been in the wrestling department, in the clinch department, in the cage wrestling department, in the ability to take down Leon and ground him and not allow him to get back up to his feet. We've seen that from Kamaru in the second fight and in the first fight. But going off the fact that Leon is going against a Kamaru Usman who is coming off the first knockout loss of his career, a Kamaru Usman who has severely deteriorated knees, a Kamaru Usman who's coming back after 7 months of being knocked out cold and knocked out for the first time, like we just said, I think this is Leon's fight, man. I think Leon Edwards can win this fight. I think if he uses the inside low kicks and the kicks to the body, if he uses the strikes off the break in the clinch, and then if he's able to use knees inside the clinch to disguise the break elbows off the break or the elbows off the break in the clinch, he can have a lot of success against Kamaru. But he just can't overcommit with the low kicks and the body kicks because Kamaru can time them and use that to set up his takedowns. He also has to respect the power in the hands of Kamaru, because I know people are going to say Leon was hurt in that last fight. He was getting rocked, he was getting punched, he was getting hit hard. even the shots when Kamaru was really winding up and throwing big shots and pushing Leon against the cage, Leon was blocking a lot of those with the high guard. Now, obviously, you're still taking damage. You're still taking the impact. When you use a high guard, you're still taking that impact. But, you know, Leon was blocking and was doing a lot better defensively than I think people thought. It's just they were overshadowed. It was overshadowed by the pressure and the big power and the wind-up shots that Kamaru was throwing. If Kamaru can stick behind his jab, if he can use the jab to feint, if he can switch southpaw and pop the jab from southpaw like he did when he dropped Gilbert Burns, then I think he can have more success on the feet and potentially knock out Leon if Leon gets overconfident. But I've never seen Leon as being a guy who's going to be overconfident or who's going to fight out of his game. He did it against Nate Diaz, though, and look what happened. The check right hook to the straight left hand. The same exact shot that Kamaru caught Gilbert. The same exact shot that Kamaru caught Jorge Masvidal with. The check hook to block the power hand and pull down the guard to then come through with the straight left hand or the right hand. I think it was the left hand, though. That's the same shot that Nate Diaz landed on Leon Edwards in their fight. And the shot that hurt him, rocked him, put him on wobbly legs, and had him basically out on his feet in the 5th round. So he has to respect the striking because Kamaru can crack the chin of Leon Edwards and knock him out. If Nate Diaz can crack your chin like that with that hook into the straight, then if Kamaru lands that, I think he could put Leon out. So he has to be respectful of the power and the striking ability of Usman, even though Leon is the more technical and well-rounded striker on the feet. This is a tough fight to call, but I'm going to go with Leon Edwards. I'm going to go with Leon Edwards to remain the welterweight champion based off the things we've already discussed. The knee issues of Kamaru. Kamaru coming in off his first KO loss just 6-7 months ago. You know, not really having a lot of time to heal. He should have taken a year off after that knockout. Coming in off the hand surgeries, coming in off the deteriorated knees, you know, coming in on the home turf of the challenger. Like, everything is against Kamaru. And Kamaru's a guy who can rise to the occasion. I just don't think he rises to the occasion here. And anybody who can be supremely confident in a Kamaru Usman, I can understand from how the last fight played out before the knockout. So yes, if he's able to use that wrestling, if he's able to constantly take Leon down, if he's able to push him against the cage, I get it. I get it, and I understand where you're coming from because we've seen the fight play out. And the second fight was very similar to the first fight. But in this fight, I think it's going to be more in the realm of Leon Edwards. It might not be as exciting of a fight, but the last fight wasn't as exciting either until Leon landed that head kick. But I think it's going to be more in control by the champion in Edwards than Kamaru. I think Kamaru is going to be biting out a lot of the feints of Leon, and I think Leon's going to use more elbows and knees inside the clinch. More elbows, because if you throw a knee at a bad angle, then Kamaru can change levels and take you down. So I think we'll see more elbows over the top, elbows off the break. I think the elbows in the clinch will hurt Kamaru at a certain point. And I don't necessarily think I see a finish from Leon Edwards, but I see Edwards winning a decision if he doesn't get Kamaru out of there. So I'm going to go with and still Leon Rocky Edwards to retain the welterweight championship in his hometown of London, England via a 48-47 unanimous decision. I think it'll be close, but I think Leon will be in more clear-cut control of this fight than the last one, even though he won, because the last one was in the control of Usman until it wasn't. I think Leon will win 3 out of the 5 rounds. I think he'll be in better control. I think he will play it smart. I think he'll play it at range and be able to pick apart Kamaru. I think his takedown defense and clinch defense will be better than the last fight, but I also think he's going to be looking to do more damage in terms of how he gets the defense off inside the clinch, in the over-unders, in the tie clinch, in the double unders. He's going to be looking to break off with damage more than he's going to be worried about constant defense. And if he's able to use that damage and break and those elbows off the break more in this fight, which we've seen him have success with in his career before, then I think that Leon will do more damage to Kamaru, potentially even knocking him out with a shot in the clinch, an elbow off the break. But I think that this is Leon's fight, and I think Leon wins this. I'm actually pretty confident in it as well. I just do worry about the wrestling and the takedowns of Usman if Leon hasn't cleaned that up at least a little bit, and if he's still gun shy. If Leon comes in as gun-shy as the last time. He'll lose and Kamaru will win the decision, but I think he's going to come in more effective, more confident, but not overconfident because Leon's just not that type of guy. I know he was against Nate Diaz and it cost him, so I don't think we'll see him do that again because he was still able to win the fight even though he got rocked. But if he comes in respectful of Usman's game, respectful of Usman's striking, and is able to use damage inside the clinch to negate a lot of the takedowns, clinch attempts, clinch control, and inside and outside trips from Usman inside the clinch and the cage positioning and cage wrestling of Usman, then I think Leon will do very well. And I'm going to pick Leon Edwards to win via 48-47 unanimous decision. I just think he comes in more well-rounded. I think this is Usman's time to hang it up. I think this will probably be Usman's last fight. If he gets knocked out, then I think Usman will retire after this fight. But I'm going to go with the decision. I'm going to say that Kamaru is going to be a little bit durable, but he also just got knocked out in the last fight, so he's going to be a little bit more gun-shy. And if that head kick lands again, I mean, he will get knocked out. But at the same time, if the straight left or straight right hand lands for Usman and it lands clean, he can knock out Edwards as well. So if Leon wasn't the technical and cerebral fighter that he is, I would think he would come in here overconfident and Usman would probably get him out of here. But I know the type of fighter that Leon is. I know the type of fighter he's been throughout his entire career. And if he knows he has to stick to a certain game plan in order to win a fight, he will do it, just like Usman in the same. So I'm going to pick Leon to win 3 rounds out of the 5. It'll be a lot more clear cut on the side of Leon this time. And the champion's going to retain his title. So Leon Rocky Edwards to defeat Kamaru Usman, retaining his welterweight title via 48-47 unanimous decision.